welcome everyone to the Moon Knight series season finale, depending on which way Marvel currently feels in any given week, apparently. As always, I'm Mitch. You can find me on Twitter at 69tweets. And of course, I'm joined by Sean.
Hey, you can join me at Martian_12.
And like everything else for these Marvel Disney Plus or Star Wars Disney Plus shows, at the rate we're going, we are of course joined by Jared from the Nerd Academy podcast.
Hi guys, I'm super excited. It is a tried, honored tradition now, and I'm excited. This was good. This was good. I've had it brought to my attention during our Moon Knight coverage that apparently around the third or fourth episode of almost every Disney Plus show, I very loudly go, "This was the episode that hooked me." Travis pointed that out, and now I'm almost afraid to go back and listen to reviews that I've recorded because I'm afraid he's right.
I listened to that when he said it, and I'm not sure if it is the third or fourth, but I can remember you saying stuff like that.
I know. I said it about Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And I think I said about Hawkeye, talking about like the first, like, great, like, knocked my socks off, ranting and raving about how good it is episode. But I've liked every show. And I know WandaVision and Loki had me from scene one as well. So that was my only little pushback there. But no, I quite enjoyed Moon Knight, and I'm super excited to talk about it. Because again, like I've said 1,000 times, once we got past phase 3, where everything was super earthbound and like Avengers centric, we've been out of my wheelhouse when it comes to comic book stuff. And I've had to like go off of like cursory knowledge or had to study up to be able to hang. So I always look forward to these conversations.
See, I'll be honest, Moon Knight's never been one where I've known a ton. I've read a few runs. 80% of those have been in the last decade, which very happily enough is what they took for this entire show. So I was kind of instantly clued on to exactly where they were going to go. It's just like, okay, this is Jeff Lemire all over. Like, if Jeff Lemire isn't in the credits, I'd be surprised, but I don't think he is. But absolutely take me from that run.
Yeah. This is the thing of. Oops, sorry, Sean.
That's okay.
I like in the some of the most recent Marvel stuff, you know, between No Way Home being a One More Day adaptation, the Matt Fraction stuff for Hawkeye, and now the Lemire stuff for Moon Knight. You know, and like America Chavez being in Doctor Strange, like we're getting like it's so weird seeing newer concepts from the comics put on the big screen. Like it feels so cool and weird because I'm so used to every comic book adaptation having to like trudge, but not that necessarily a bad thing, but like trudge back, you know, to the 40s, 50s, and 60s for its source material to adapt it.
I'd always argued that they focused more on the mid-2000s. That Bendis era Avengers stuff and the Ultimates is absolutely, at least for like the first Avengers.
Oh, yeah. I just mean in general that like you're dealing with characters who have their roots.
All right, yeah.
Like going all the way back. And here we have, you know, like America Chavez is comparatively a newer character, you know, more modern Moon Knight runs being directly adapted. Same with Hawkeye. You know, they took a very lamented Spider-Man story for No Way Home and somehow adapted it into what is now one of the most popular comic book movies of all time. Like it's just so fascinating the way that we're no longer just doing origin stories that have their roots in like stuff from the 60s and 50s and so on.
Because Moon Knight's an interesting one. Me and Sean talked about this before. When he first showed up, I think it was in the 70s. I think Moon Knight was.
Yeah, 70s.
That sounds right.
Yeah, like he was nothing like this, and even through the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. Not the Moon Knight you'd know in the Jeff Lemire run in the slightest.
Well,
And it was only because of Bendis in the Ultimates run that you had the dissociative identity disorder come up, and that just then stuck in the main 616. Like before that, Jake Lockley, Stephen Grant were just aliases that he put on. It was never in his head. It was always just, obviously it's Mark Spector, but
yeah,
you know, just the whole typical spy stuff. But
they did take some of that out of the 80s and 80s run. There was some stuff from there. It was, I think, the 90s and in the 70s they kind of left out because there's a lot of iconic images from the 70s, like the Bill. I can never pronounce his name.
Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yeah, that they used in the show, like some of the iconic images that they use were like ripped straight from his art, you know. But a lot of the plot,
and then you get people like Layla and the Scarlet Scarab, and it's that's totally different.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the plot was kind of ripped from the Lemire stuff and some of the Ultimate stuff. But I mean, the 70s stuff. I mean, like I'm not gonna say I was a huge fan of Moon Knight, but I was a reader of the 80s stuff, you know, because I love the covers. The covers were really striking, and you know, and the stories were different from what was going on in the you know, what was going on in the Marvel comics, because Moon Knight was always separated from the heroes for the most part until like the late 80s, early 90s when he joined the West Coast Avengers, you know, and like that's where I think he kind of it didn't work, you know. He always felt to me as like more of a I'm not gonna say a Batman character because that might confuse more people by saying that. But he lived in a separate kind of, you know, side of the MCU or the Marvel Comics universe.
I
feel like what you can say. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and I think that there's been a lot of jokes about, especially in the CBC community, about the Batman comparisons.
Yeah, it's so peripheral, man. Like you know, like every time I see that, like if nobody can see my face, I put a GIF of someone rolling their eyes, because that's such a weird you know, like if you knew the characters, you would not be making that comparison.
Yeah,
I think
Moon Knight's this very odd one. He's a very odd one because you can tell.
I think the only like benefit to it is if you're trying to like grab like Joe Schmo, who like
but that confuses people. I think
movies, who just goes to see movies. If you give them the like a very shorthand like like if you start them with think Batman, and then you build on that.
I'll be 100% honest. That's exactly what I've had to do with one of my friends that watched the show. He had no clue. He's like, "What is a Moon Knight?" I'm like, think Batman. I even said like, I'm gonna hate myself for saying this. Think Batman, but not Batman in the slightest.
Like you know, like the thing about Moon Knight and Batman comparison is like, one person knows that they have a mental, you know, there's the mental disability in one person. He's well aware of that. On the other hand, Batman is like so far out in the ether that he has no idea. You know, he doesn't even realize that guy, Batman's crazy. Like he's a weirdo. You know, like he's more weird than a guy dressing up as Moon Knight, you know. I don't know. I every time I hear the comparison, I'm like, just read the comics, man. Like,
it's just it's one of those where it's hard to go right. Well, Moon Knight's one personality, Mr. Knight's another personality, Mark Spector's this one, Stephen Grant's that one, Jake Lockley's this one. They could Khonshu might be a sixth personality. We're not entirely sure. The comics are very ambiguous on that. And like it's just really hard. You start throwing that at people because then it's like, well, how did Mark Spector become Moon Knight? Who is Moon Knight? Why isn't it Mark Spector? And it's nice. Just consolidate that into he's kind of like Batman, but not.
That's what makes him more of an interesting and more complex character than Batman will ever be. You know, like he's like an onion. He's more like an onion, and Batman's more like a rolled up piece of trash. You know, you just unroll it, then you figure out who Batman is. You know, like he's a guy that lost a parent, that can't get over it, and he blames every. You know. But with Moon Knight, it's like each time you pull a layer off that onion, you're like, oh wow, this is a different thing, you know. And like each time, you know, you pull that layer. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
No, I think that's completely valid. Like I said, I think the Batman comparison only stands whenever it's someone who knows nothing, and you got to start him with like crazy caped vigilante. Okay, you have that image. Now forget everything you know about Batman because that does not matter here at all.
I say you have a choice when trying to get people on board in Moon Knight, because you can either go, here's the memes that you've no doubt seen, and everyone thinks Moon Knight's just this funny, like, where's my fucking money, Dracula guy, or you go the Batman route. And I'd rather go the Batman route than the random bullshit go meme. Like it's
true.
It hurts to do it, but it's an easier.
It hurts every time I hear that conversation. It hurts a little bit.
It doesn't help us, you know. I don't like doing it, but there is some validity to it, because you know you look at the more recent run, like the Marvel Now run of Moon Knight. Like he has the glider. No, Stephen Grant's the billionaire. He has the glider. He's going out in New York. He's protecting all the people at night. It's like you can kind of
sure.
But once you scratch that surface away, it's absolutely nothing like that.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, I think it's easy to explain it quickly, and then go, and then there's Khonshu, and then there's the personalities, and then there's this, and there's that. Like if you start with the baseline of caped crazy,
well, like
and build up.
To get back to the show, it's like the beauty part of the show is like everything being presented in the show is not out of the wheelhouse of this character either, and
no, it's amplified.
It's a little bit amplified. And I know that they went into the show discussing is like, you know, they do have to change the show slightly, you know, just like everything else, you know, logistics.
Yeah, by cutting my Eternals cameos. No.
But
not happy about that one.
I will apologize. I will apologize to the writers, and you know, next time in the meeting, I will.
No, don't apologize to them. I want the apology given to me.
I will have Kevin Feige handwrite you a handwritten note saying I apologize for ripping that, you know, away from you.
So I saw the headlines about cameos being cut. Was it Eternals characters?
Yeah,
I can't talk about that. I was gonna say
you don't have to answer that. I just saw headlines that the cameos were cut. I didn't read any articles. I just saw. I didn't get a chance to read them. I thought Mitch was just giving me news. I didn't know if it was news I wasn't supposed to know or not.
What's the director's name? Mohammed Diab?
Mohammed Diab, yeah.
Yeah, like he's come out and said there was a point where they were going to show Amit being imprisoned in the little stone statue thing, and they were going to have like 3 or 4 Eternals present for it, and one of them was going to be Kingo, because I think him and Kumail are quite good friends.
Yeah,
but budgetary reasons that had to be cut. So if there's only a point where it's going to be, this should have been a movie. For that alone, it maybe should have been a movie. But I would take what we have, because I really enjoyed this series as a whole.
I agree completely. I will say, you know, again, with like I like Moon Knight a lot, and I've said this before that like my primary exposure to Marvel as a kid was via video games. You know, I played the Ultimate Alliance games. I watched a lot of cartoons, and Google and Wikipedia were my friend. And I, since like 4th grade, since I was like 10 or 11, was super excited to one day see Moon Knight because of Spider-Man Web of Shadows. Like that was my first exposure to Moon Knight. Was that
might have been mine as well, actually, thinking about it.
So
man, I feel old because that's not my
actually no, it might have been in the Ultimates thinking about it. I was reading the Ultimates around that time.
Wow.
I don't know, it's been so long, I can't remember. Like I never knew Werewolf Hunter Moon Knight, and the reason why his suit is like white silver is because of werewolves. Like, I never knew that Moon Knight. I know of him, I never knew it.
Super old. That's all I can say. This conversation is making me super old, because my first exposure was that introduction in the comics.
I say, if it makes you feel better, you feeling older makes me feel younger.
You little young whippersnappers.
And then
no, it's okay. You're wiser, Sean. You're not older. You're wiser.
I don't think my wife would agree with that. But okay, I'll take it.
We're 900 years old. You reach.
No, this was. I've seen a couple of people be like, "This isn't Moon Knight." It's like, I can kind of understand that criticism, if I can even call it that, quotation marks, very heavily. Yeah. Because in a sense, it's kind of not right. The whole amplification of the Egyptian mythology stuff, and you know, in this episode, it's hey, the full moon, I can fly now, out of nowhere. Which I'm not going to dog in it. I liked it. Yeah, I think it just makes Moon Knight a little bit better. But,
I took it as gliding more than flying.
Man's flew across the desert. Like, that was 100% flying.
Okay,
he was like speed flying. Like, he was quick.
I just kind of assumed he got an amp from Khonshu. That they were like,
I think that's what
damn, it's go time. And then Khonshu was like, I'm just going to boost you because we both need it right now because it's about to go down.
The impression I got is the fuller the moon, the stronger Moon Knight is.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm the god of the night sky and the full moon, and off you go. Like, okay.
The travelers of the night. I don't know why Khonshu was Bane.
I've said it before in this, I adore the voice actor for Khonshu. It wasn't what I was expecting or what I'd even said I wanted. I absolutely adore the voice of Khonshu in this.
F. Murray Abrahams.
That's the one. Yeah,
he's got such a great voice. He's like one of the top voice guy. Like, he's an actor with like a very. I put him up with Jeffrey Wright and Morgan Freeman, and with like the voice is like very soothing and like,
I wouldn't call Khonshu's voice soothing. No, that is kind of threatening, condescending, and. No.
And if you met the actor, you probably understand where that comes from. No, he's not.
He's trying to get Layla on his side, and he's like, "Shut up, bug." It's like, okay, Christ.
But that was a great what I loved about that scene was like the fight going on, the fight where they would seamlessly transition from Mr. Knight to Moon Knight. It almost felt like Harrow was fighting two people at the same time.
No.
And then in the background is like the kaiju battle going on. There's
I think the only way that fight could have been better for me is if that was the moment Jake comes in. I know Jake wasn't going to come in at that point, and I know the last 6 weeks I've been saying about Jake. And yes, he's played a part over the 6 episodes.
He's been there.
Yeah, it's just like just at that point, just have that third suit come in and just give me what I want. That's all I want. It's not even a criticism. It's just like, I want this thing now.
Mm-hmm.
Question about Jake, and just something I want to throw out there. And again, I always feel bad asking these like thematic questions because I always feel like I'm accidentally putting Sean between a rock and a hard place with implication here and stuff we may not be supposed to know yet. Going all the way back to like, what was it, episode 1 when he was in the Alps and then he woke up surrounded by bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Mark switching in to? Okay, so that was Jake. Okay, cool. Because I know from the beginning it felt like it was just Mark showed up, crossed him up, got out of there.
So anytime you've seen a very like bloody battle going on, that was Jake. Because Jake is he's like the pit bull on the leash. When it comes to personality,
Jake's more willing to do what Mark isn't.
And
that's you always the restraint with Mark, and Jake is not the restraint.
Yeah. And we'll get back more to that towards the end of the show. But like Mark is the more calculating. Yeah, in season. Mark is the more calculating. Like you can like if you pay attention throughout the show, like Jake has shown up a couple times. And then there was a scene actually in the most later scenes that Jake was like more visible in the scene, but you could tell the personalities. Jake is like the more, I don't want to use the word unhinged because like it's not probably a correct word to use, but like he's the one that is more aggressive.
Yeah,
and like you could tell
he has more of a proclivity for violence. Yeah,
there was a scene in like where the whole therapy scene where Harrow is the doctor and you could tell that was Jake because he was very aggressive and like.
Well, yeah, because he has the bandage on his nose, right?
Yeah.
And that's all bloody, and he's talking about, we don't sedate people unless we kind of have to. Like, he's obviously talking to Jake there.
Yeah.
And then it just flicks over to Mark, and he hasn't got the bandage. So
yeah.
Steven wasn't going to be doing that. It had to have been Jake.
Yeah. Well, plus there's like the accent change too, where like out of nowhere, it's oh, you get to pay a lot of money, Doc, and it's like that is not Mark or Steven. That is
I've
a new
talked
guy.
to a couple of people about that. Some people find it really obviously different. To me, it didn't sound that different.
Oh, I picked up on it.
You can tell.
I picked up on it, but it was only there was like one word he says, and it was like that's not Mark's accent.
Yeah, Mark is more.
Apart from that, I found it really subtle difference.
Yeah, but that's what I loved about the. That's probably one of the best things about the character, and I'm sure that's what drew Oscar Isaac to the playing the character, because it's almost like an acting exercise to like you can play so many different characters in one scene, and like I'm sure that it's very.
I think there's absolutely truth to that, and I know that there was, back whenever like Split came out, when like James McAvoy, he's acting his ass off, but people weren't super thrilled with the depiction of DID, and understandably, and
I say it's a decent movie, but in the ability of hindsight, it's like maybe carry on the whole thing of the split personality is always a villain thing isn't particularly great.
Well, I agree with that completely, and I think that I think that there's something interesting when you try to frame mental health issues and mental illness through like a superpowered lens. Like I talk with my girlfriend a lot, who very much, she also is not a fan of whenever, like mental illness is used as a plot point. And, and we were talking, she's like, I'm kind of mixed on how excited I am for Moon Knight. And I was, also kind of nervous about that, just because it's so easy for it to accidentally, not even with malintent, for it to accidentally turn into, look at this freak, even if that's not the intent. And went, they could also just kind of hand wave it away as he doesn't necessarily have DID, but he's going crazy because there's a moon god in his head and it's like magic crazy. And I was super impressed by the fact that, and again, this is not something I suffer from, but based off of the reactions of people who are more qualified to give it a rubber stamp, I was super impressed by how high the praise was for. They could have really screwed the pooch.
Well,
they could have.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I was just super glad that they handled all of that with the level of tact there was there. It was super impressive, because again, it's even if there isn't any malice, it's easy to accidentally make something problematic in that way.
So when the show was being accepted, they made a point to bring in experts to be employed by the show and the company to kind of oversee a lot of this stuff, and that's why it wasn't like vilified, like they were going to make 100% sure that they weren't going to vilify people with this disorder, so that was, I think, probably one of the things that you could see, in the show,
Yeah, and it shows. It absolutely shows, and I think it deserves praise for that. I think it deserves, like, aside from how good the show is as a narrative and how well put together it is, the care that was taken there deserves praise unto itself. So, round of applause for everybody involved on that on its own.
Definitely, because me and I mean we're talking about this. I think the first episode, it's such an alien concept if you don't know. Because how can you relate to someone with two other people in their heads? Maybe or 4 or 5. Like, how do you relate to that, and how do you actually portray it? How do you make it feel like it is something that genuinely can happen to people,
Yeah.
But you've only ever seen it in like a sci-fi setting or something like that. Like, how do you actually handle that? And
I think that's out of all the things that the Bendis run did right, that was probably one of the best parts of that concept of the character when he was doing it.
Yeah, back when Bendis gave a shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't coasting through shit. We can see what now he's coasting through life at this point.
Definitely. No, because they save all the villainization of the disorder and Mark, Steven, Jake, or however you want to put it, that, for Harrow.
Yeah,
they use Harrow for that in a very good way. It's like, no, you're not supposed to like this guy. He's calm and he absolutely is going to exploit the fact that he thinks this guy's crazy.
Well, I mean, if I remember correctly, Steven even calls him out on that type of like his mentality is like.
Yeah, he says, "I'm not crazy." I think even Mark says it as well. It's like, "I'm not crazy. I just need help." No.
Yeah, that, and I think, I mean, just the philosophy of Harrow is very. It's not sympathetic at all because, like, he, you see him judging all these people, but then, I think Steven brings up the conversation is like, would you do this to kids? Because kids, would you be willing to kill kids? And like, let's face it, Harrow has been played from the get-go, from both sides.
Yeah, because I don't think even Harrow is willing to go that far because he didn't have a comeback for when Steven says that.
Yeah,
he just kind of sits there staring.
That's interesting because I took that the complete opposite way. I think Harrow was like, "Oh, absolutely, I'm willing to." He just didn't have the stomach to say it out loud.
Well, he like if you look at toward the end of the show with him, like when Ahmed comes back, and she explains everything, he looks very surprised at the fact that she is willing to compromise. Even with him, because he's willing to die for his cause, and then she's like, no, I can't remember verbatim like what she says, but like it's
she says something. I had an avatar once whose scales are perfectly balanced, and I ended up trapped for 2,000 years. Like maybe it's time I had someone who isn't. He's like, but I've got all these. Look at this work I've done for you. I've spent my entire half my life getting these people on your side.
And it's like it pays off getting a person like Ethan Hawke, as an actor, because like that look on his face is like he's surprised. He's like, wow, this whole time I'm doing this for you, and like at the end of the day, it really doesn't mean anything.
Back to the I just want to add on the whole me not thinking he brought into it the whole child killing bit. He does the typical, I'm going to change the conversation. I don't want to answer the question.
Yeah.
And that's where I got that from. It's like, no, this guy doesn't fully, at least at that point, doesn't buy into at least that point of the argument. It's like, no, you got.
And like, because up to this point, he's never had to face that. He's been like he's doing it to older people. He's doing it to people that, but like, would he do it to a kid? I don't know. Not by end of that conversation, I'm not entirely sure that he would do that.
Because that feels like something that would unbalance your scales.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know how the Egyptian gods' minds work and what balances and what doesn't. So.
I kind of find it hard to judge a kid for his sins, at that age.
Because Amit even says it's not what you've done; it's what you will do. It's what lies ahead.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting.
I think it's something fascinating with Harrow is that he kind of feels cut from the same cloth as like a villain archetype, like akin to like a Claude Frollo type thing.
Yeah,
where like you are pious to the point of being sinister. You you are a zealot, and you believe in your thing so hard that you are willing to kill, and it is not coming from a place of justice. It's a mentality that puts him in the same room as a Thanos. We're like, sure, you can quote unquote save the universe at the cost of trillions. And same thing here of like, yeah, you can make the world a utopia by eliminating all the people who will commit some form of evil. But you are the ultimate evil for that kind of culling. You know, like it's very interesting. And I think, I truly think because he's operating off of Amet's moral, her moral system, I don't think it would unbalance his scales. You know, I think that what unbalanced him was his own actions when he was serving as Moon Knight. You know, and his own misgivings through Khonshu. And I think that there's like really cool unspoken arc of like Khonshu seeking some amount of redemption, you know, like with trying to stop Amet, that he kind of sees some of his own darkness there.
There's a definitely hint of he wants back in.
Yeah, I feel like he's a jilted teenager. That's how I would describe Khonshu. I don't think he was seeking redemption. I think he just wanted back in. I never got that Khonshu was like the guy that was like looking for the redemption part. I never got that out of it.
I mean, in its own little way that he sees, like the conversation he has with Amet during like the Egyptian god kaiju fight, where he's like you're wrong. Like I protect people. You're a killer.
I think he's just saying those lines. I don't think he actually fully. He's always got ulterior motives, and you'll see that at the end of the series, it's like he was never gonna let Mark go.
Oh, of course not.
So no. I don't think he was like. I never got that he was like that. The I'm seeking justice. I think that's just his like way of like justifying whatever he wants to do, and how he does it. You know, I think I think the justice seeking thing is just a peripheral thing for him. I think deep down inside he just wants back in the band, so to speak. You know,
but with that comes like to get back in, he'd have to have some kind of redemption with someone.
I don't know. But like I think with redemption you have to believe that you want to do it. That's how I feel like redemption really fully works. You know, like he's fooling the gods that he is trying to redeem himself, but like he's doing good things, sure, but like is he really committing to that, you know, that the cause that
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think I'm saying, like either way personally. I think you can
I mean that's what I got out of it. I feel like that he is the guy that will say anything or do anything to get back in with the guys that the people that he wants to be, the group that he wants to be in, you know. Like once he gets back into, I mean, look, he tragically used two people, you know, throughout his, I mean, countless others, I'm sure, but like Harrow is a victim of this, of him too, you know. Like he I feel like he premeditated picked Mark for a reason. That's how I mean.
That's one thing. That's one thing I wish this show actually explored a little bit. Right? It's because they make a hint towards it in the memory. I think it was you, Jared, that said there's a memory gauntlet.
Yep.
Like that. I don't know the term, by the way. So I'm nicking
Thank you. Yeah. Did Sean back out, or did I accidentally do that?
I don't know. He might have accidentally backed out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There it is. I got to add him back in. Okay. I was just making sure. Because I forgot I was in control for a second.
Did you just kick me out or something?
I don't think I did. I think you fell out, or maybe I bumped a button. I'm not sure.
I went into like robot like heaven like 2 seconds.
So you got put in the overvoid? Like,
yeah.
We're now going to judge the scales.
First I get pruned, then I get, you know, it's like, come on, man. This is going to become a recurring theme for me on this show.
Sean, whenever using StreamYard, is like the proverbial podcasting Kenny.
Oh, it's worse, man. Like, it's so bad.
Thank you, Mitch. I appreciate you liking my little turn of phrase there of going through the memory gauntlet. I felt very vindicated on that one. I'm keeping up my redemption of getting at least one prediction right per show after bombing so hard with WandaVision.
What was yours then? What was yours for this?
That it was going to be the memory gauntlet thing
Okay, yeah.
And that like we were, I mean, again, it's not like it was a unique prediction with the Jake Lockley thing, but I was like, we're barreling towards Jake showing up in some capacity. But from the moment we were in like the mental institution as like some form of purgatory, that was my like, this next to last episode is going to be Mark and Steven putting this shit away.
I think they're my favorite episodes. WandaVision has one; it's easily one of the best. This has one; it's easily one of the best, if not the best.
Well,
I didn't love it in WandaVision. It was good. I don't think there's a bad episode of WandaVision. It wasn't my favorite.
Excommunicado on that one. Yeah, I think it's a unique way of telling an origin without going back and doing the typical origin story. You know?
Because I will say, I think this one did it better than WandaVision purely for there's one tiny little detail that I saw it and I fell in love with it. It's, you know, it's memories of the same person, but you know, it's all different to each of them.
Exactly.
Mark sees Steven doing the Sky rewind, and he's like, "Wow, that's wild!" Like I adored that. Because obviously they're not going to see everything. They all have their little space they go to, and
some of it is new to the other person. Still,
Steven seeing Mark, or it might have been Jake beating the crap out of the Jackal, Anubis Jackal in the museum toilet. Like, I love that stuff. I wish, obviously, it blends in as you further go along with Steven going, "That's not how this happened." You know, Mum was nice and all this. She's not dead, and blah 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 blah. But the one bit I wish this show actually explored was Khonshu there from the start, because Steven steps on that bird skeleton in that episode. Is that just a remnant of Khonshu being in their heads, or is that actually hey, Khonshu was looking for Mark the entire time?
I interpreted that as, I thought for a moment the show was really going to commit to this was all fake. Yeah, I thought for a moment the show was really going to try to gaslight the audience and be like, "Oh, yep, you missed. None of this has been happening the entire time," and that like the bird skeleton was going to be like, and he saw this the day his brother died, and now he's convinced, blah 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 blah, Khonshu, and like that was supposed to be part of like the seeds of doubt being laid in the audience.
Yeah.
I think it also just could be like a visual metaphor, of like, this was the beginning. Like even before Khonshu, this was the beginning of what set us down.
Yeah, this is what leads him down. Yeah.
That will eventually lead to Khonshu. And here's like here's a physical, like here's a visual representation of Khonshu. That doesn't necessarily mean Khonshu is here, but this is going to pave the road to meet Khonshu.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
That's fair.
I'm just trying to think.
I will say, with some of the Scarlet Scarab stuff, I want to come back to that for a moment.
Yes, Scarlet Scarab.
I have seen talk on the interwebs, and I'm very curious to hear Sean's opinion on this. I was hoping to say this in the same audio setting as Sean. Is this the first MCU original hero?
No.
Yes and no.
Yeah, like it's based on a character.
It's based on a character, but by all accounts, like she's not even wearing red.
Layla has never been the Scarlet Scarab. The Scarlet Scarab is it's Al-Fuli or Al-Ful. I can't remember how, because they changed the name slightly for the show. He's been in like Thor issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hasn't been around since like 76 or something like that. But
I mean,
the name's not new. The direction they've taken it in is.
But like, couldn't they just make this new? Like, did the director say that this is Scarlet Scarab? Like definitively, he used that
but
name?
The fact that it's her father's name is the guy's name.
Okay, that's true.
She literally has a red scarab on her chest on the Egyptian plate thing.
Throughout this whole series, you see little Easter eggs with her with the Scarab. So it's like it's not it's not like verbally saying it out loud, but like it is.
It's not verbatim because it's Harrow when her and Harrow are talking, and she's one side of the chasm, he's the other, and he's going on about the scarlet scarf with a scarab, and it's just like the scarf Scarlet. You went in the asylum, she's got a little red scarab on a bandage on her little finger, and it's like
And also when she's getting the papers from the forger, she's like she mentions like the little scarab, like as her nickname and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's all there. It's not implicitly said out loud, but that's exactly who it's supposed to be meant to be.
Yeah. It's one of those as well, with her being like, this is temporary. This is not a permanent thing, which silence Layla. You're going to be Scarlet Scarab for a while.
Congratulations, you are now a superhero.
Yeah, I think saying the name or having the name there and then might have been a bit out of place, because especially when you have that. Are you an Egyptian superhero? I am, which I get it. It just
I think it would have been a little overkill just to start saying the name out loud.
I think it's really funny, and I say this as somebody who does not hate Wonder Woman 1984. I acknowledge its issues.
I'm on exactly the same page as you right now.
I acknowledge its issues, especially the Egypt stuff. Like, that is a big yikes.
Yeah.
But on the whole, I like.
They actually do they go to the same road, I think, that Wonder Woman.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And the fact that the director invoked Wonder Woman 1984 and then has the final episode almost be this refutation of Wonder Woman 84. I was laughing my ass off.
Didn't he call that movie out too?
He roasted the shit out of Patty Jenkins by name.
Movie. He was like,
it's just. I think it all comes down to if you're not going to represent it correctly, just.
I didn't.
Did you press the button again, or was that the same?
I had one hand on the desk and one hand on my leg. Y'all won't get the actual video. My hands are in the air.
I can confirm his hands are in the air.
That was not me. I did not do that. I did not do that, Sean.
I hate this stupid thing. Okay, back. Yes.
My cursor wasn't even on you. Our hands were off. Our hands are on the table.
I say his hands went up too quick for that to happen. Like there was no premeditation there.
I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming you, the app.
I'm sorry.
I'll just put it plain and simple. Wonder Woman 84 shouldn't have done any of that stuff. They weren't going to represent it correctly.
I agree.
It was just fluff, and like that was.
It felt real backwards, that scene in Wonder Woman 84. Just like,
and I don't blame Patty Jenkins for any of that stuff. I guarantee it was mostly like studio. Like I'm not going to get into the WB of it all, but like it doesn't sound like what Patty Jenkins would have done.
I don't know. I can't say if it was or wasn't. So
yeah, neither can I. But it just has my spider sense is tingling on that one. When it comes to
your scarab sense is tingling.
Yeah, more appropriately, yes.
No, I did find it funny that he absolutely went for the throat on that movie with that, and then he's gonna because the suit. Layla's suit is kind of reminiscent of the gold armor. Not a lot, but there's a little. It feels like there's a little influence there, especially with the wings and how the whole crossing the arms to protect yourself is like this is absolutely an intentional jab, and I'm 100% here for it.
That armor that armor in Wonder Woman 84 just looked really. I don't know. It just looked.
It was too CGI and
it is overkill. Like you could have streamlined it. I'm not saying that the one that Layla had was better, but it's more streamlined and made more sense. I don't know.
No, but Layla's suit has the exact same sin that WandaVision suit has for me. It's those exposed shoulders. I don't do exposed shoulders. I think it looks stupid. You're gonna armor everything up and have this? Why are your shoulders out?
Because she has the wings to cover it anyway. Again, not me. Not me. No, because she has the wings to cover it. The wings are basically covering everything anyway.
Yeah, but it's I'm just an aesthetic guy, and
I get it. No, and I'm super into the look of her.
So I adore the look, the direction they went in with it. You know, especially the Scarlet Scarab's costume in the comics. Yeah, no.
No,
This, yeah,
not.
I liked it. It looked great, minus the shoulders. Yeah, you know, and she's fast with that thing as well.
Yeah,
like she's just, I know obviously scarabs and zipping around, but like she's quick, and it's like, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt that Layla already can scrap to begin with.
Yeah, that's why I was convinced this was gonna happen in this season. It was either going to be this season or just a pure setup for the next one. She was way too competent in this to not have an alias.
Yeah. And just because I'm here, I'm going to pick fights. I just my favorite weirdos on the internet being as bent out of shape as this is. I don't know if you guys saw.
I've seen nothing about this yet.
Nerdrotic has been that weirdo. Has been complaining.
I gotta tell you though, some fans are so weird when it comes to this stuff. I mean, like
I don't even like to call them fans, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't either. You don't like the thing. You've made a cottage industry talking about it.
Like, is that the first thing they think about when they see stuff like this?
100%.
It's like it's
after they made
people that did the Loki, the Loki thing. It's like
after they made a career complaining about The Last Jedi, yeah, that's all they look for.
So weird.
Yeah,
that's all I can say about it. Weird.
But he'd been complaining. He was like, first couple episodes of Moon Knight have been good, but just remember what's coming. And it was a clip from the trailer of Layla like crossing up some Harrow's goons. So like this guy has been on the edge of his seat for something cool to happen with Layla. And the picture that everyone's been sharing of her like holding the arms down at her sides, kind of superhero posing.
Really nice, that hieroglyphic sort of look there.
Yeah, and then he had a screenshot of that and he put it on Twitter and he was like, another bait and switch from Marvel, and it's like, for the MCU.
What's the bait and switch?
I retweeted it. I was like, is it a bait and switch for there to be more than one character? Like, what are you smoking, you lunatic?
I chalk that up to people just don't like, they're just contrarian.
Well,
I'm not even sure if it's contrarian at this point. It's just pure little dick syndrome. That's all it is.
It's bigotry with a profit motive.
Yeah. Somehow very lucrative. I don't understand.
No, I mean, hey, listen, we would not have in the American body politic right now the amount of people who use woke as a slur if it weren't for the fandom menace. Like that is plain and simple. You cannot convince me otherwise. I heard "get woke, go broke" from all those losers for years, and then I heard my like 60-something-year-old coworker at the bar say that because she heard it on Fox News. That is poison. That is brain poison.
I think that's one of the words that should be struck in from the English language altogether because it's been weaponized so much. It's just such a weird word. I hate it. I hate hearing, especially hating 68-year-old politicians saying it to describe, somebody that has concerns about, other things. I don't know. It's just disgusting.
The words woke and the word cancel all need to just never be uttered again in polite society.
Well, how do you replace it in the correct context, though?
We'll just replace it with something else.
Yeah. I remember this is completely tangential, and I apologize. I remember because like Donald Glover never uses his Twitter, but he was complaining about television, and like he was like, so many people are afraid to take chances on TV for fear that they will get canceled. clearly referring to TV shows.
Yeah.
And then all of the weirdos was like, Childish Gambino goes anti-woke. And it was just so terrifying. And it was like, y'all have like lost all your grip on reality.
Welcome to America. You know, like that's the land of people.
To quote the man, this is America.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Don't catch you slipping up. Look how I'm living up. Someone stop me before I just spoken word all of this. I will.
Part of me went, see how long he will go.
I'm so cool.
Yeah. I think my Stephen Grant just went, see how long he's gonna go. See how long.
My altar is just convinced that they're Childish Gambino.
That might be a problem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There will be an inevitable cancellation and a justified one if I publicly
Jared blackface. What? That's straight where my head went. I was like, oh, that would be that would.
I mean, I was just gonna go with somebody of my complexion can't sing along with every word that he's ever put
the PG-13 way. I respect it.
Yeah.
Go the lighter.
Moon Knight's really good.
It is. I will say, I had one worry with Steven's accent at the start. And me and Sean have spoken about it, and I said about, if it's a case of it's what Mark thinks an English person sounds like, I will be okay with it because it makes sense why he doesn't sound like anyone in this small little island of 64 million people. Yeah. And that's the direction they went. And it's like, you know what? I can live with the.
It feels like it calms down a little bit out over time.
No, especially with his last latest gators. No, he's ramping that back up.
It gets worse.
Maybe I got numb to it. I felt like it was most of the shell shock for me came from just hearing, Oscar Isaac, all you boys. But
it's the fact that I've had people go, no, that's what you all sound like. It's like, no, literally no one on this tiny little mound of dirt speaks like that. Maybe if you went back to like the Cray twins or like the old West End of London, but no one talks like that anymore. Like you silly old bird.
You mean no one actually sounds like Bellatrix Lestrange?
Well, no, she does. That's just Helena Bonham Carter just talking.
Not everybody's just like walking around. I can't see. That's just not what they sound like on a day to day.
As 100% just her. I've seen.
Okay. Well, that's one person then that Stephen Grant kind of sounds like.
Yeah, but that's not the same accent.
No.
So many different styles of accent.
I know. It's great. I love it.
Stephen Grant has a bit of that. I'm American. I'm gonna try sounding like an English person, or my idea of a Londoner. And it's like,
it sounds like an Oscar Isaac thing, though. Like it definitely sounds like what
I give it. It was a plot point to an extent, and it's Oscar Isaac. I can absolutely give it a pass. I can let it slide.
I think I told you this. Remember, I talked about like when I lived in Brooklyn. I didn't realize how close I lived next to Oscar Isaac. Yeah. And one day I was going into a bodega and I see a guy with like a hoodie or something like that, and I'm like, it looks a lot like Oscar Isaac. He's got a beard, but it looks just like him. And like I remember one day going out to get bagels, and I walk out and I look over and I'm like, holy shit! Like I'm like literally like 5 feet away from where we were living, like 5 feet away from him. Where he was living, I was like, man.
Did he do the Ex Machina dance?
He is by all accounts the silliest guy you could possibly be. Especially when you get Pedro Pascal involved, it becomes a.
That might be too chaotic for me. I can see that going poorly.
Everybody that I've ever talked to that's hung out with that person at the same time, it's like it's too much.
It's a bucket list thing. Like I'd absolutely love to do it, but I can see it going very wrong.
I've
the best way possible.
I've been in the same room as Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, and they are mild compared to those two, from what I've heard. That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot because Anthony Mackie is like, I'm convinced he's a clown on part time because like that guy, like everything he says it's a joke. And
I must say, as someone whose first love is Star Wars, it breaks my heart that because of timeline constraints, we will never get to have Din Djarin and Poe Dameron in the same room.
I don't think they could get the film scene if they were both in the same room because.
I mean, that's true. That's true. I just hate that canonically you'd never be able. I mean, maybe in a comic or something, you could stretch. You could go for a big timeline stretch there.
I can tell you for honest truth that, like, again, going back to the Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie, he is counterproductive in everything he does when he's filming. Like, because he's so silly. I couldn't imagine putting Oscar Isaac and Pedro Pascal in the same scene. It'd be like, that would be half the budget trying to film that scene, you know?
We haven't had Pascal in Marvel yet, have we?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
God, I'd love to have him though.
He's.
Okay, here's a dark horse casting based off of how good he is at playing like stoic but caring. Pedro Pascal is the Silver Surfer. Make it happen, Sean.
I can see it.
I'm a low on the totem pole. I can't make that. I can introduce that conversation, but
I tell you what, actually,
casting director Sarah Finn, and then really, really, really tiny, like really, really, really tiny. You can only see it because of how long my name is.
But since this show's more than likely going to get a season 2, right? There has to be a recast for one specific character anyway.
For Midnight Man.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know.
I can see it having play off against each other that way.
That would be great. Yeah. And Pedro Pascal can play a really nasty bad guy too. I mean, like he could.
Yeah.
Not if you've only watched Wonder Woman, you can't. No.
Yeah.
That was a performance, and kind of.
He's
maybe.
Incredible. Everybody in that movie. Shut your mouth.
Incredibly something.
Give him a mulligan
I'll give
on
you that.
He's so fun. He's so fun. Why are you allergic to fun, Mitch?
I'm not. It's just that movie, you know.
That movie, it slogs. Sorry.
It's no one's finest hour. That movie.
No.
That one.
It's not.
It's a good time to be.
You can see Pascal read the script for that movie and went, "All right, I'm going to check out."
I need a new house, so I need another house.
My kitchen needs a refurb. This will pay for
it.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think he was probably one of the funnest parts of that movie. But like,
he's the only reason to watch it.
I love Sean. I love Sean's like course correct of how he was about to say he's the best part of this movie.
I don't want to. I hate poo-pooing on people's stuff because like it's.
I know. I'm just being a jackass. I'm sorry.
The movie is not good. You know, it's not fun, and it's not really anybody's fault. It's a script. The script is not good. You know.
So it's the script writer's fault.
Yes. I blame that guy. Probably one of 80 guys that probably worked on that script. You know?
Yeah.
I'm sure that script was passed around so many times. It was it was that girl at the party, you know.
Oh wow.
Jesus.
But Moon Knight.
Yeah, back to that.
I was gonna talk about Khonshu and the Amit fight because that was. I'm not entirely sure where that idea came from, and not saying I hated it or anything, because I didn't. I thought it was decently done, and it was a nice parallel of what was happening going on the ground.
I quite enjoyed it.
my brain's telling me that no one else could see it because you couldn't. No one else would really see the gods throughout the entire show.
Oh no, the only people who could see that were probably were Mark / Steven, Harrow, and maybe Layla.
I say because Layla never saw Khonshu through the entire time until she set him free.
That's true. That's true.
And it's like, did anyone else see Amit in the Pyramid of Giza?
Well, I always felt that if they didn't want it, if they wanted to be seen, they would allow them. Like I looked at the followers as like they're so drinking the Kool-Aid so much that they are seeing, Ahmed. I think with it, Layla, I think it's just Khonshu wanted her to see her, and
yeah, because there's some slight inconsistencies, like me and you talked about it, Sean, where if Amit's trapped in the statue, where does the power from the cane come from? That's never talked about or touched upon. It's like, Harrow says that all Khonshu can do is just like make the wind blow, and yet in this he picks up the staff when they're having the fight, and he just sends his truck flying. It's like there's little niggly bits.
Yeah, I looked at that as like, and they should have explained it a little bit better, obviously, but I felt like that was just Harrow just kind of, trying to talk him and say, hey, he can't really do anything, or
I just assume it's inconsistencies. No.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a little bit of holes. There's never been a perfect.
I think you can write away the inconsistency with Harrow's staff as being some type of, like this is a relic created by Ahmet. Like it predates her being locked away.
Yeah, but it's the power that Mark has predates Khonshu being locked away. So how does? That's what it is, right?
There could be just different. They could just manifest in different ways. Like Ahmet created a thing, whereas the Moon Knight, like the ceremonial Moon Knight armor, is like an extension of Khonshu. Like Ahmet,
it's just
If I don't know if that makes sense. Like kind of.
I mean, I can get it's like this thing's imbued with it. It's not just here. I'm gonna get at this current point in time. I'm giving you this. Like I get what you're saying. It's just
it's a difference between like a construct and like, to make another Harry Potter reference, like I did jokingly earlier. It's kind of like almost like a Horcrux.
Yeah.
With the staff, like not that you need to destroy the staff to kill Ahmet or anything, but like Ahmet was like, a part of me is in this staff.
Yeah.
Intentionally. But like Moon Knight creates the suit, or Khonshu creates the Moon Knight suit.
Yeah. I know it was just one that, it didn't affect the show for me in the slightest. It's just something I've just picked up on and was hoping kind of for an explanation. Not that it necessarily needed it, but it's just there. But right, that's about an hour, so I think we should get it all wrapped up. I'm not going to ask you, Jared, your ranking or anything. I know you hate that question. But
it's funny how you're trying to convince me not to ask yours on when will this be out?
This will probably be out Tuesday, so after we record.
This will be out Tuesday, so it will have already happened. We go watch the review that is going to be a multiple fan bases Nerd Academy and Comic Book Cast collaboration.
You need to protect me on that, by the way.
I will.
I need at least one person to help.
No, I'm going in guns blazing on that.
Because I'm against the wall here. I can feel it. I'm already. The Facebook group is gonna kill me. On Monday.
I have already read so many awful takes about Multiverse of Madness. I am so prepared to go in blazing on this, and the way that I am just convinced so many people don't know how to watch a goddamn movie. Like I am just convinced people's brains shut off the second they hear "ba like all critical thinking goes out of the window completely.
Does sound right.
Unfortunately, but
Call me a Marvel
overall,
shill, but,
overall, what did you reckon?
I reckon it's good.
Yeah,
I reckon it's good
compared to the others, though.
It's probably top 4
out of 5. I like it.
There's got to be more than 5.
WandaVision, Falcon, Hawkeye,
Loki,
Moon Knight.
What If?
I forget What If.
Yeah, I'd say top 3. I'd say it's in the top half. I'm trying to think. Like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was kind of let down by in the grand scheme. Like I loved it. I love the show, but I wasn't as into it as I wanted to be.
Some problems out of its control.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. And that's why I don't rag on Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
No.
Where it's like it might be my least favorite, but for reasons that were, as you said, completely out of its control.
Yeah. It's the most noticeable, actually, I should say, of everything. Yeah. They all had the problems to an extent, but Falcon absolutely got the brunt of it. Yeah.
I don't know. Loki, I just kind of have like a spiritual love for. I mean, not to get too real for a moment here, but like at the same time where I was like coming out as bi to my friends and family, like one of my favorite Marvel villains, like in the MCU, was like, "Oh, hey, I'm bi" in an episode, and I was like, "Oh, I'm into this." I don't know. It was one of those moments like feeling super seen, and then also I love Silky. I'm a Silky shipper, and I'll ride that wave until I die.
That's just weird.
So weird,
hey,
man. So weird.
you helped make it, Sean. Why do you think it's weird?
I think it's to me.
I'm gonna misrepresent your job, Sean.
No, I think the name is kind of what really kind of like the name that the fans have given it is kind of like it gives me like a icky, like a spine, tingle down my spine a little bit.
Is that how you feel
love
about
the idea
Raylo?
that they did. People and their acronyms and like combining.
I only use ship names when I like how they sound, and that's how I was with both Silky and Raylo. But no, I know Loki's number 1 for me still. Nothing's top Loki for me yet. It's probably Loki, WandaVision, Moon Knight, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye. And then What If it's just kind of hard to grade because it's an anthology for the most part. Like it's so different by nature that I have a hard time ranking it.
Well, it's taken me 6 shows, but I got a ranking out of it. That's something.
Yeah. Tentative. Who's to say that doesn't change between now and like the next time we talk about
mine,
which will probably be like in a week for the same thing, but on the Nerd Academy.
I say part of the reason I held off on Letterboxd for so long is because I can never cement down a ranking ever.
It's hard.
My Star Wars ranking is always so hard to do. I can do my top 3 for the past year I think is going to be set in stone for the rest of my life. But like once I get into that like middle section where I'm like, especially like when you factor in anthology stuff, where like every time I do it, I see A New Hope go further down the list.
Yeah, I think that's what I hate it for. It's like the thing you like just gets further down. You're like, no, go back up.
And it's like,
and you don't want to lie.
Part of me is like, why do I have almost every prequel above A New Hope? And I'm like,
I mean,
even Attack of the Clones is always going to be at the bottom of the list. Clones is always at the bottom.
It's illegal, you know.
See, this is the age difference here. So the prequel's above anything. And,
no, I didn't say above anything. Okay, my top 3. Last Jedi is number 1.
I can respect it.
Return of the Jedi is number 2.
I respect it even more.
Yep.
The Phantom Menace is number 3.
That's where
you lose me.
That's where we verge. They verge a little bit.
And this is when the pruning happens.
I love the Phantom Menace. At the older I get, and it's a nostalgia thing. But I don't think Phantom Menace is anywhere near as bad as people say it is. I
no, it's worse than what people say it is.
You're wrong. You are wrong.
Jared,
you are
I can tell you
incorrect.
In California, it's illegal to rank those movies higher than any other movies. You know that, right?
He's in Philadelphia, right?
Well, I mean, if you ever come to California,
Pittsburgh side of Pennsylvania.
See, English brain doesn't know.
I'm closer to Virginia than I am to Philadelphia.
My English brain just kind of goes. You roughly know states with the similar letters. Just pick one, and we landed on Philly.
Yeah,
I was like, he's East Coast. I'm certain Philly's East Coast. I'm gonna go with it.
You're right. I'm just on the other side of the state.
Pittsburgh is a big state, by the way.
I mean, all states are big compared to the UK. We fit in like a third of one state in America. It's fine. But that's a wild tangent. So thanks everyone for joining, and we will catch you all for Obi-Wan and Miss Marvel. Can
I say one more thing to fans?
You can absolutely say one more thing. Yeah.
All right. If you guys like the retrospective me and Mitch have been doing, I got some special guests to line up. I have a couple from Iron Fist coming.
Ooh.
And I'm in talks with 3 very, very special people that if and when I get time, they get time, they will do it. Absolutely.
I'm going to need therapy just to actually record the damn thing.
I also got Deborah Ann Wall and Jeffrey coming back for a season, so look out for that. I'll update you.
Holy crap!
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Fun. Yeah,
that's so cool. I love what you guys are doing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm finally pulling out all my my friends in the business. I think for years people were like, I don't think he really works for them. You know, like this is me proving that, right?
I remember having the conversation where it was where I for a moment thought you were joking because I was super out of the loop and I went, oh.
Not joking. I got the mental scars to prove the Netflix error for sure.
It's so funny because I like I've said, I'm like anytime you're on Nerd Academy or I'm here, the and like all of like my mind races with
it's fun having those moments too because
part of me is convinced that you sometimes do it on purpose now. Sometimes, that know that you can make me be like, what does it mean?
I mean, he's admitted to lying to me, like bold-faced lied to me on the show before.
We saw you in the Facebook group go, guys, Daredevil is not in Spider-Man. Shut up. And I was like, well, I don't know why Sean would lie to any of that. I have no idea why Sean would.
I'm definitely unbalanced for sure when it comes to that. I would definitely get sucked up into the alligator mouth on that one.
And good reason as well. Very good reason.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, and I will say this outright. I, to this day, no matter what, will believe everything Sean says.
Cookie Monster is in the next Marvel movie for sure. They negotiated with Warner Brothers as we speak right now. No.
You say that, but there's going to be some joke about Cookie Monster in the next Marvel thing, and I'm going to scream.
After what happened a couple years ago, Mitch, we were. I think you remember.
Yeah, let's not name names on that one. Yeah.
The man who now should not be named. Well, after that, I just kind of every once in a while threw out something that was completely fake, man, just to see how far it would go down the stream, you know. And I was pleasantly surprised a couple of times where something did pop up every once in a while, and it was kind of funny to listen to.
If he says it in a show, you can't trust it.
Yeah, I don't trust it.
Is my lesson. If I haven't edited it out, don't trust it.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. If it's in the show, don't believe a word I said because it's like, I learned my lesson a couple times, and anything that's been broadcast on the show is not the truth. It's just me fucking, messing around.
What we're saying is Sean's the Amit and I'm the Harrow without the
it's true.
side.
It's true. I'm
Steven Grant, just desperately confused by everything that's happening.
Just don't think it's offensive. No.
It's very offensive. But it's not as offensive as putting the prequels in the top 3, but it's right up there.
Phantom Menace is Star Wars to me. It is so George Lucas. It has the DNA of Star Wars.
I will absolutely agree with you on that one. It is so George Lucas.
And that's the problem, right? It's so George
Lucas. I think the pendulum swings way too hard into George Lucasdom with Attack of the Clones. I think it's a safe
I think he got
overindulged.
I think he didn't have enough. He had a lot of yes man behind the scenes, not telling him the truth, like the hard truth, and like he just was putting the stuff in, and people were like, "Yeah, that's a great idea, do it."
The Phantom Menace is a joke from George Lucas that went too far.
Yes.
Is that how many times can I get away with stuff? And it just
confirmed.
It got into theaters, and he's like, "Oh no!"
Oh wow!
One of my favorite clips in the history of the internet is, I think we're a little too far in some places.
I saw that
funny.
It's
so good.
The way he says it is just like, oh, this is kind of.
It's like him admitting it a little bit, like this gone far.
I don't know. I love George.
He's a treasure, but
he's a national treasure.
Anyway,
back.
We'll catch you all soon for whatever happens next. It might be Daredevil season 2. It could be Obi-Wan. It could be Miss Marvel. Take your pick. It could be one of the 3.